Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys the review for Boruto Chapter 49. And real quick, for anime only fans, I am going to be obviously talking about spoilers, so I thank you for your support. And just gotta go ahead and plug this right now. I've got new merch over on the Teespring. I've got Uchiha Lives Matter Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 with Sasuke Uchiha, Volume 2 with Itachi Uchiha, as well as Thanos Shiki merchandise. Now, with that being said, if you're an anime only fan, I thank you for your support. And for those of you guys who are here for the manga, just got to give you a quick update on something before we get into the actual chapter review, which hands down, we got a lot to talk about with this chapter. But I've gotten a lot of requests from people like, hey, can you show some manga panels in the chapter review? And I strongly considered doing that in this review. However, Shueisha's bot is on a rampage right now, and there have been a lot of anime channels that have been getting taken down just for showing manga panels in their chapter reviews. I've personally watched a few channels that I'm a fan of get copyright strikes over, and for those of you guys who don't remember, Anime Uproar and Anime Balls Deep almost lost their channels earlier this year because of that. I've also had issues in the past. I'm not going to be using manga panels. I'll probably try and find some other way to incorporate some type of visuals into this. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review. So with this last Boruto chapter, man, like when I read the spoilers for this chapter, I was like on the fence for a second. And the reason I was on my fence was, you know, last chapter you had Isshiki floating above the Konoha skies, and they recreated that image from the Pain arc, and I was like, oh man, we're gonna get an invasion. And I slept on it for a little bit because I was a little disappointed when I read the spoilers, and after sleeping on it, I totally understand why they didn't go the route of just a complete bloodbath like how you had in Pain's invasion roughly about 11 years ago, probably about 12 years ago in the manga when the Pain arc happened. So the reason why they can't necessarily go this route is there wasn't the same build-up for this. Like, I kind of understand why they didn't go that route, but I'm not gonna say this was a bad chapter. Once I put my own expectations to the side, there was some stuff that happened in the chapter that I actually enjoyed. The one thing that I would definitely say definitely stood out to me was that, you know, as you guys know, I critique Ikimoto's art quite a bit, in particular his panels and his lack of anticipation shots. But in this chapter, there were a few moments, and I'll talk about them once we get to those portions of the chapter. There were a few moments where I was very impressed. I was actually very impressed. Like, for a chapter that needed to hit home, this was very well done in some aspects. Now, what I will say is that I like the kind of slowed down efforts that you got at the very beginning of the chapter, where you see what looks like this father and son, they're walking through the village and they just happen to look up, and all of a sudden you see Isshiki looking down at the people. I thought that that was nice. I also thought it was very cool how you get the Konoha police department just running through the village telling people like, hey, you guys need to leave, you need to evacuate. Shikamaru is taking orders at this point, and he's giving them to all the people through Ino, saying like the only ones who are supposed to engage the Otsutsuki is going to be Naruto and Sasuke. Tell everyone to leave. And you get this really good moment where Naruto looks at Boruto after telling Sasuke, I'm heading out, Sasuke, you come when you're ready. I like how you get this moment where Naruto looks back over his shoulder and he tells Boruto, this isn't up for debate, you need to leave, you need to evacuate now. And what I like there is we're seeing the internal conflict that's taking place in Naruto, because Naruto is both a Hokage and a father in this moment, and it's very hard to juggle those two things. That's something we've seen Naruto at his core struggle with over and over, especially in the anime. So I thought that that was nice to see the gravity of the situation kind of hanging on Naruto on both ends. I thought that that was awesome, and it really makes you look at how Naruto handled Boruto in a different light, especially when you consider that Boruto has a karma seal because of Naruto. Because like I've talked about on a few different occasions, Naruto could have killed Momoshiki. It's revealed in the Sasuke Shinden novel. Naruto could have killed Momoshiki, but he allowed Boruto to kill him because he wanted Boruto to have real mission experience. And it's because Naruto did that that his son has this karma seal and not Naruto. Now, the other thing, and the other reason why this shit hits you even harder, is if Sasuke can look at Boruto and realize that Boruto is actually a valuable asset that they can use to fight against Isshiki, you can bet your ass Naruto has thought about it too. However, that's where the conflict comes in, which is Naruto is a father before he's a Hokage. So I thought that was good, how you see the contrast between the Hokage and the Shadow Hokage. Like, I thought that that was really good because Sasuke makes the tough call. Like, Boruto's my student, Boruto's my best best friend's son, but this guy needs to go out there. He needs to help us. He might be what's needed to turn the tide in battle. Oh, that was so beautiful to see how Naruto and Sasuke on opposite ends of the spectrum, and that just kind of shows you that when those two work together, it's not always in perfect unison, but because they both have good instincts, it ends up working out well in the end. So I thought that was really good right there. Now, the thing I will say is that I was a little disappointed, okay? Like, Isshiki shows up and my man is just completely polite as usual. He's saying, please don't waste my time. Tell me where Kawaki is. And this is after Isshiki's been going through, looking through all the buildings, looking with his Byakugan, and isn't able to find him, and he's just casually interrogating people. Like, I didn't really care for that. Like, I know it's in character. I know it's in character for the guy to be doing that, but the thing that kind of got me on this is like, this dude shows up in the village. This is a monumental moment, and he kills random fodder ninja 813972. Like, no meaning whatsoever to it outside of the fact, like Naruto said, don't engage, and these idiots engaged. Like, that sucked. That sucked. Like, I'm not pulling punches on that one. That was horrible. And the thing that I will say is that if they take those panels out, if they take those out and they devote more to Isshiki using the actual village against Naruto during their fight, I'd have been okay with that. Matter of fact, I say take it a step further, because Isshiki's just kind of toying around with random citizens. Hey, on one hand, I totally get it. That's a good way to use the village against Naruto when you're actually fighting him. But I really feel like this should have been the moment where there should have been somebody who was in this new generation, whether it be Chocho, whether it be Inojin, somebody should have been nearby and used against Naruto. I'm not saying that like Isshiki attacks him. I'm saying that Isshiki uses his abilities and puts him in harm's way, and Naruto needs to go after them in order to save them. I thought going somewhere like that to where it's actual characters that we have some investment in, you're not killing them, but you're putting them in harm's way against somebody that we know Naruto cannot defeat. I thought that would have been a better narrative choice than what we actually got in the chapter. That's just my thought on that. Like, I was a little disappointed by that usage right there, using the village, because I feel like if you're gonna go this route in order to really effectively get Isshiki over and give him a bigger sense of drive, it's got to hit closer to home for Naruto. So again, I wish that was something done a little more, but what I will say is that I also thought that it was really cool how, you know, Amado's just sitting there as Naruto is running through the village attempting to track down Isshiki. I thought it was really cool how Amado, you know, once Shikamaru says like, this guy's probably gonna attack you too, Amado's like, hey, he's got the Byakugan, you sure this is gonna work? And that's when Sai steps in and Sai tells him like, hey, you know, there's a little known facility, which is probably something left over from Danzo's root days, that is able to defend against anything the Byakugan is able to look at. It's just one of the countermeasures that the village has. Not even our shinobi know about this. If you go here, we'll be safe. And what I like about this is that you see Sai, he's taking Kawaki and they're getting ready to leave, and Shikamaru, being the ever calculated person that he is, he's like, hey Boruto, I know you're gonna run off, you're taking your ass with us. And that's when Sasuke has this moment where Sasuke says, I need to speak to my student alone. What I gotta say on this part is that, you know, and this is gonna go back to some of the stuff I said before about the anticipation panels. Once you get to the portion of the chapter where Naruto is fighting against Isshiki, there's some good art here. There's some really good art here. It's not, I'm not gonna call it A1 art, but it's better than what you normally get. I thought it was really nice how you get this moment where you see Isshiki, he's flying through the village, he's just zipping through, and then you get this one shot to where all of a sudden his interest is piqued, and you see the next panel underneath it where Isshiki's flying, you see it through his perspective, and Naruto is just running through the village, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. You see Naruto coming into view, and then you see a close-up shot of Naruto, and you see the two make eye contact. Isshiki says Naruto's name out loud, and then he immediately stops, and then in the next panel after that, you see Naruto grind to a halt as well, and then you see him look up at Isshiki, and then there's this big dramatic pause where you see Naruto in a battle ready stance where he's hunched over, getting ready to straighten all the way up. He's looking at Isshiki, and he and Isshiki make eye contact as they talk. Like, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, from the pauses and the movements to seeing Naruto actually straighten up, even though you didn't see it frame by frame. The fact that if you look closely at him, Naruto, he's got his knees knees bent. You can tell that Naruto is starting to straighten himself. You see how Isshiki's looking down at this dude. Like, this was really good. This was really good. Like, I want to see more shots like this, because this just kind of shows that like Ikimoto understood the gravity of the situation of this moment. Because anytime you have the Hokage fighting to protect his village while inside of the village, you need to have great care. Look at the other moments where this has happened, whether it be Tsunade calling shots through the pain arc, and you see in certain panels, if you go back to the Naruto manga, you see how her shoulders were hunched forward as things got more and more tense. You see her anger bubble over. With Naruto to show Naruto hunched over, and you see how Naruto, his shoulders are hunched forward as he's straightening. I thought that was a nice touch right there. So gotta give Ikimoto props on that. Now, another thing I thought was very beautifully done is the conversation with Sasuke and Boruto, where Sasuke says like, hey, Naruto and I cannot take this dude down by ourselves. And what I like is how you get this moment where Boruto, his eyes widen, he doesn't believe it, and then after Sasuke says like, hey, we couldn't even put a dent in this dude when he was using Jigen's body, you just see this panel where it's all blacked out, and you see Boruto with that desperate and that scared look on his face, and then he immediately looks at his karma seal, and then you get the anticipation shot here where it continues to build, and you see Sasuke where it's just a close-up of Sasuke's eyes, and Sasuke's looking directly at his karma seal. And so I thought that that was nice right there. I thought that that was a nice moment. I also like how after Boruto gives his recount of what happened through his perspective, how you get this shot where Sasuke is just looking out the corner of his eye with a very serious look on his face. And what I like in this moment is that, you know, in this moment Sasuke's realized what it is that he has to do. And what Sasuke tells Boruto is that even if I have to kill you myself, I have no problem doing that because I'm your teacher. And Sasuke has a very severe moment where he tells Boruto the karma's extraction that Momoshiki put on you is probably progressing at a rapid rate. You're gonna get to a point where you're no longer yourself. You see the scared look on Boruto's face, and Boruto says, I know being a ninja runs the risk of me dying, but what scares me even more is that Momoshiki will take over my body and I'll hurt the village, I'll hurt people I care about. And you see Boruto grabbing at his shirt, clutching at his chest, just to emphasize how scared he is. Like, the one thing I would like to see just a little bit more build on, and you'll probably see this when the anime gets around to doing this, but I would have liked to have actually seen a moment where you have Boruto with his hand shaking as he's doing it. Like I said, the anime is probably going to add those little tidbits in there, but I thought that would have been a really nice touch right there. But I thought it was really nice how you see Momoshiki in the background as Boruto's talking, and you see Momoshiki's aura just blaring up in the contrast of black and white there. I thought that that was really, really good. Now, when it comes to the Naruto versus Isshiki battle, like, Naruto fanboys are probably like, damn, man, Naruto's steady getting kicked around. But I will say that I did like how Ikimoto, like, he had some moments in the actual fight where he played with his panels. So he started using more slanted panels. It wasn't the same typical action panels that you see with the squares and rectangles. So I thought that that was nice. And you get this really cool moment where he's charging up towards Isshiki, and in the next panel after that, you see Naruto transform into his QB chakra mode. But what I loved about that scene right there is that if you look very closely, you see the flames starting to flicker off of his body, showing he's in mid transformation. So I thought that was hot. That is a very nice touch, how you see just the flickering going on right there. I thought that that was really, really cool. And I like how in the very next panel you see the full transformation, and you see Isshiki dodge this dude's attack, and then Isshiki immediately counters with a hard kick, and then you see Naruto flipping through the air. And as Naruto lands, you get this moment where Naruto lands so hard on the building that the building itself begins to cave down. And as Naruto finally catches his footing, that's when Isshiki appears in front of this dude, startles Naruto, and then Naruto immediately just jumps all the way up in the air, tries to put some space between himself and Isshiki, and you get this moment where Isshiki immediately closes the distance and he kicks Naruto into the gut. Like, I thought that was good. I thought that that was good. That was a nice sequence of events right there, especially again, the anticipation was there. So I thought that was nice. I like how Isshiki just didn't knock this dude through one building. He knocked him through several buildings. Like, Thanos Shiki is here, baby. I like that scene right there. That's good. And what I like is how Naruto not only has that moment where he's wincing in pain, but he also realizes that Isshiki's going to destroy the whole village if he can't stop him. And then you see this shocked expression on Naruto's face, and what you end up finding out is that what Naruto's looking at is Isshiki closing the distance, getting ready to drop the hammer down on him. And what I like there is, again, it's a nice build up towards the anticipation panel. Like, I like that. And so what they're doing is like they're setting up the impact panel where Isshiki's going to just drive Naruto further into the ground with that drop kick from the sky. You see Naruto attempting to get up and run away, and just as Isshiki's about to actually land the hit on Naruto for Naruto can run, Sasuke used the Ameno Teiji Kara, which is that jutsu that allows him to swap places with people or swap people's position. I like how Sasuke was lurking in the shadows somewhere within that 10-meter radius of the jutsu and able to do so without Isshiki realizing it and swap the places with him. So I thought that was nice. That was, to borrow a wrestling term, that was a nice false finish right there. So I thought that was a nice little moment right there. Now, another thing I thought was interesting was, again, just how you get the slow build up and how they kind of slow things down. I thought Ikimoto did a good job here, where you see Naruto's got the shocked expression on his face. You see Sasuke with his cape billowing. You see Isshiki completely stunned. You see how he's beginning to turn his head to look at Sasuke, and then Sasuke's sheath comes into play. Like, that is beautiful. That's what I mean when I say I wanted Ikimoto to slow things down a little bit and live in the moment a little more. I thought that was good. I thought that was good because when you build up like that, it makes that panel of where Sasuke's standing over Naruto and you see Sasuke's cape billowing, that makes it look that much better because it's not something that is rushed right to it. Like, in this case, it was a false finish, but it was also something that set up the dramatic reveal. That's good. That's good right there. And what I like about that moment right there is that how you see Isshiki getting visibly annoyed, and you have this moment where Naruto's looking at Sasuke's back, which is so symbolic given the fact that for a long time Naruto's always at Sasuke's back, and now Sasuke comes in and saves this dude, similar to what he did in the Land of Waves arc. But what I like here is that you get this moment where Naruto then stands side by side with them, and they joke and they say, man, you really had the jitters, didn't you? You were scared of this guy. And you get this moment where Sasuke says, like, look, Naruto, I got a plan. Start throwing shuriken at this dude. Don't stop no matter what. You see Sasuke, he's throwing the shuriken. You see Isshiki respond to it, and then you see him jump up in the air. Again, more playing with the actual designs of the panels where you got the slanted squares, you got the slanted triangles, the smaller boxes with the reactions for Naruto. Again, this was good art right here. I like this. I like how you also get that moment where Naruto's throwing the shuriken because he realizes that Sasuke has some type of trump card playing. You see Isshiki's eye change to where he's using the ability to shrink things. I'm not even gonna try and say the name because I know I'm gonna butcher it, but I like how you see how all those shuriken get shrank, and then Sasuke immediately says, okay, I got something for you, and Sasuke continues just throwing shuriken after shuriken. Ishiki is looking at him like, what the hell are you trying to do? And that's when Sasuke throws the sword, and this is so good. Again, this is one of those times where Ikimoto slowed it down a little bit. Like, you see the sword twirling through the air, you see the reaction of Naruto, you see Isshiki get lulled into the false sense of security, you see the eye all of a sudden change, you see the sword getting closer and closer to Isshiki, and then all of a sudden Isshiki realizes what the hell, because he's looking at it trying to shrink it, and then you hear his internal monologue. He says, huh, and the sword actually straightens out, and Ishiki's like, I can't shrink it. And that's when all of a sudden Boruto shows up. He was transformed as a blade. Now that's two things right there. Obviously that's paying homage to, again, what happened in the Land of Waves where Naruto was the shuriken that Sasuke threw at Zabuza's water clone. But the other thing, if you guys remember from Sasuke Retsuden, which I've covered in a whole playlist, if you guys remember from Sasuke Retsuden, there was also a scene where Sasuke transformed into a cane. So I thought that was interesting right there, that you saw little small moments right there get kind of paid off. And I like how even Naruto's looking at it like, Boruto, what the hell are you doing? Because this isn't what Naruto wanted. Naruto did not want his son there, but that's when we get the reveal of the flashback where we see more of Sasuke's conversation with Boruto. He says, I have no problem killing you if I have to. It's what I'm prepared to do as your teacher because Naruto won't be able to do it. You see, again, just the close-up of the eyes and the severity of the situation sinking on Boruto. You see Sasuke give Boruto his headband, the one that Sasuke had with the crossed out Hidden Leafs village insignia. And I like how all of a sudden you see Boruto getting up close, and Isshiki again is looking at it like, so what? What can a child style like you do, and that's when Boruto uses the Karma Seal's ability to open up portals, and you see the shocked oh shit expression on Isshiki's face. And what I like is that if you look very closely at Boruto's eyes, you actually see in that last panel that Boruto used up all of the Karma Seal's ability, because his Karma Seal vanished just as he and Isshiki were about to go. There's no more karma lines on there, so I thought that that was very good. And Sasuke says, come on, we gotta hurry up. It's what Boruto's prepared to do. We need to follow his chakra signature. So I thought that that was good, and I like how you get this moment where Naruto looks at Boruto and says, that was a really dumb thing that you did there, but Boruto says like, hey, you guys can go all out. You guys can fight without holding back now. I know it's gonna be harder than just me saying it, but you guys have a chance to fight seriously now. And what I like here is that even though Sasuke did use up a considerable amount of chakra here, you also get the reveal where Isshiki's looking over at Boruto and he says, how much of Momoshiki's power can this guy actually use? He didn't expect Boruto to be this far ahead, and this is a completely separate dimension than anything Kage had. This is not one of Kage's dimensions. This is one that Momoshiki has. So that's interesting. That's interesting right there. So I like this. I like this. I like this a lot. And I think that part of the reason why you're seeing this with Boruto being able to advance as quickly as he did, it isn't just because of his interactions with Kawaki. I also think it's because of those Hyuga clan genetics that he has. I think that that might be it. But overall, this was an okay chapter. I'm not gonna give it a great chapter rating. I'm gonna call it okay. But my chapter question to you guys, I've got two. So number one, what are your thoughts? Were you expecting a bigger bloodbath, and are you okay with the fact that that's not what happened? Do you agree with me that there wasn't enough build up to justify Isshiki wrecking the village? And then my second question for you guys is, do you guys think that Sasuke, if need be, can actually kill Boruto? Do you guys think that that can happen? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.